Hi there, I'm Stephen Banks, and this is the first and only time that I'll be appearing in front of a camera for this project. So in this video I'm going to teach you some of the tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way of shooting Bridport by night. Hopefully you can pick up some skills for yourself, go out and take some really good pictures, and collaborate with me on this Dorset by night project. There are definitely two things that you need for this project. One is a DSLR camera. Your normal compact unfortunately won't do because the sensor isn't big enough. A DSLR offers a bigger sensor size, so the noise performance is much better in low light. The second is a tripod. A good sturdy tripod's recommended, although if you're shooting in good conditions then any tripod that keeps the camera still will be great. One thing you may or may not need, depending on the model of your camera, is a remote control. My camera is a Nikon D7000. It has something called a intervalometer built into it, which basically allows you to take one photo every set number of seconds. So you can leave the camera on your tripod and it photographs away and you can go off and do something else. The remote control, if your camera doesn't have an intervalometer, that'll do that for you, and they're relatively cheap. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I made some of the exposures I did in Bridport by night with my camera, the D7000. Like I said before, it's got an intervalometer on it, but the procedure and the settings that you need to do on a Canon, Nikon, Sony camera, whatever, they're all pretty much the same. You just got to follow some pretty simple techniques. So we'll head out and we'll take some shots. Okay, so we're out in the field. I'm up on Egerton Hill at the moment and I'm looking at a few radio transmitters. I'm not sure if you can see them. As you can see, it's dusk, so the light is still quite good here. We're not picking up many stars in the sky at the moment, but I'm going to set up a long exposure just to show you how you do it. So as I've said before, you want it on a tripod. This is a nice sturdy tripod. No wind is going to knock that over. And okay, you want to set the camera on manual mode, which is set here. And the settings that are currently showing are 30 seconds and f2.8. You want to keep the aperture as wide as possible, so that's the lowest number as possible. With this lens, the Tokina 11 to 16mm, it's a very wide angle lens, and the widest the aperture will go is f2.8. You also want to make sure that it's set on manual focus, which can be done on the lens, with this lens, or down at the bottom here. I can set it onto manual as opposed to AF. And then I want to try and make sure that it's as close to infinity as possible. Infinity, of course, because although the stars aren't quite infinity miles away, that's the best the camera can do, really. So set that. Sometimes it'll take a little bit of trial and error to get this right, so keep taking exposure until you get the focus perfect. Zoom in on the preview images once you've taken one. Okay, and like I say, because it's dusk, we want to change the shutter speed down to, say, about 10 seconds. If it'll let me. There we go, 10 seconds, back down to 2.8. I also want to change the ISO. I'm currently on 1600. Now with this camera, the D7000, 1600 and 3200 are really acceptable image quality levels, even for very large images. So that it's a general rule of thumb that the newer the camera is, the more you can get away with high ISOs. Some of the older cameras, 800 ISO would be advisable. So like I say, it's dusk, and 10 seconds, ISO 1600 f2.8 is quite a good setting. So, what I'd then do is I'd take a test image, and I'll just pause that momentarily. There we go. And I check it on the review screen. And there we go. And I can check that it's in focus, although it doesn't look in focus on the camera. There we go, that's perfect. Just about perfectly in focus. So I'm happy with the focus, I'm relatively happy with the shutter speed. I'm going to start the time-lapse now. Now this differs on different cameras. What I would do in the Nikon is go into the menu. I'll just turn off the flash here. So I'm going into the menu, and I'm on the camera setting here, this green icon. And right down at the bottom is something called interval timer shooting. I refer to this as an intervalometer sometimes as well. So you want to click OK on that, and you want to start it now. Of course you can time it as well if you want to leave your camera out in the field. Set it up about 8 o'clock in the evening, make sure it starts at 12 or something like that. So we're clicking on now, and I want to turn it off. Nikon sometimes it's a little bit funny, the menu system, so make sure it's off before you start it again. And we added a timer, a shutter speed of 10 seconds, so we want to add 2 seconds onto that, 12 seconds, move across again, and I keep it at 999 times 1. This means it'll take 999 seconds every 11 seconds, so it'll have a 10-second photo every 11 seconds. And then I just click on. And there we are, the camera's working away. As you can see, it's got 999 showing on the LCD screen there. And now it's down to 998, and it'll carry on doing that. No matter where you are, you can go and sit in the warmth of your house or your car. As you can see, I've got my car in the background there. So I'm going to leave this running. I'm going to come back out later when it's a bit darker, change my speeds, but hopefully I'll get a really good image tonight. So if you want to find out more about the project, make sure you click subscribe on the YouTube channel and visit the website, dorsetbynight.com. Hopefully you picked up some skills from these tutorials, and I look forward to seeing what you can create for Dorset by Night.